A very good morning to all of you. So, let us begin our today's session. In our last session, we were discussing regarding strategic alliances, and under that, we were discussing some of the strategic alliances which will be made on a contractual basis. And also, we had discussed regarding what do we understand by licensing, franchising, the difference between the two, and joint research and development? Today, let us try to understand what it is meant by turnkey project. Now, a project refers to a turnkey project in which the client will pay the contractors to design and to create maybe new facilities and also sometimes to train the workforce. And turnkey project is one such project which is used as a mode for a foreign company to and in exporting maybe the technologies and also the process of its business to other countries in a way by building a plant in the host country. And there are many examples wherein these industrial companies have used turnkey project as an entry strategy when they specially know that they have specialized in a very good and a very complex production technology. Now, to make it simple, a turnkey project would be one such project which would be fully operable, or the project when it would be handed over from the contractor to the client, it would be in such a state that the client only needs to start the business. And there are also instances wherein we can see that a turnkey project can exist within a business setting, or it itself can be a business. Now, whenever it comes to a business setting, a turnkey project would generally would be produced by a team of contractors and project leaders who would have a very good experience with the type of project that is being taken up by the company. Now, these contractors or project leaders will do everything that is required by the project. Now, a project idea is often handed over to them, and these project leaders or contractors are expected to produce the project to the very standards that has been set by the company, with which they have come to an agreement or a contract. Okay, now under this project, there are chances that they should be able to do everything from the design of the project until the very minor details that would be included in the project. And later on, this project would be handed over to the project manager. Now, to make it more simplifier, A turnkey means the project manager will only have to turn a key to have the business or the project up and running. Now, we should also keep this in mind that not every project will have what we call as a literal key. It is just a figurative. The project manager or client will only have to do very minimal work. That is what it means by turnkey project. They can expect a turnkey project to be written to them and fully operable when it is ready. Now, like all other strategic alliances, even turnkey project has its own advantages and disadvantages. Now, these kind of projects will always help in running heavy returns from the exporting process or by the way of exporting technological know-how and also the process of doing business. Now, there are some countries wherein the government would have fixed a limit on foreign direct investments. And in such cases of FDI limitations, then this strategy of turnkey is used to enter the market. Then there are also chances that whenever we think of going to our international business and the country that we have selected, if at all the political and economic environment of such nations would be, very unstable one, during those times, turnkey project proves to be less riskier as a mode of entry in the international business. Now, discussing regarding disadvantages, the turnkey project, as I have, given all the business processes that I know and I have created a very good project for my client, there are chances that in the future I, for my own business, might have created a competitor. Okay, then when it comes for a technological based companies, if the firm's competitive advantage itself would be the process technology, then by selling such technologies can prove to be, selling the competitive advantage to the competitors themselves. So these five are based on contractual strategic alliances. Moving forward, there are some other kind of strategic alliances also. The first one among those is merger and acquisition. Now, a domestic company sometimes chooses, a foreign company and merges itself with foreign company so that it can enter in the international market. Now, the domestic company, to acquire the ownership and control, may also purchase the foreign company. Now, merger and acquisition are two different things. In merger, what happens is two companies would come together, they would be merging their way of doing business, and in acquisition, one of the company would be acquired by another company. Now, the merger and acquisition is one such type of strategic alliance which helps in getting immediate access to international marketing or international business. Now, the advantages of merger and acquisition is that those companies which goes for merger or acquisition, they get the ownership and control over the acquired firm's technology, employees, and even the brand name. And the company can make international strategy and generate additional revenues easily. Now this strategy helps the country or helps the host country in case the industry has already reached the stage of optimum capacity level in the host country. Now, the disadvantages may be said as, now a firm which is acquiring a firm in a foreign country, it would have to do a lot of paperwork, and this task would be very difficult, which involves lawyers, rules and regulations, the bankers of the other country, the merger and acquisition specialists from both the countries, from its own country and the country from which it is having this deal of merger or acquisition. Now, in merger and acquisition, what happens is that almost many a times such kind of alliance will never add on to any more capacity of the industry. Now, one more disadvantage is that if the host country by any means imposes a restriction on the acquisition of local companies by the foreign companies, then this kind of strategy cannot be proved useful. Now, there are also chances that the acquiring company may sometimes have to bear labor problem of the acquired company's country. So this is all about merger and acquisition. Okay, and moving forward, the next one is joint venture. Now, in joint venture, what happens is that it is an agreement by two or more companies to form a single entity and thereby share some of their capabilities and resources, and as a result of this, they would come up with a competitive advantage. Now, each single person who acts as a partner of the company would always have some portion of equity stake in the individual business and also in the share profits. Now, small companies usually does not prefer to go for joint ventures because it would require more cost and also commitment. Now, merger, acquisition and joint venture are three different things. In merger, what happens is two companies come together and they might keep doing the same old business under the same name that they had. Okay, And in acquisition, what happens is one company would be taken over by another company. In joint venture, what happens is that two or more companies come together and they come with the intention and they will have to come up with a new company. That is to tell, under merger, if two companies, company A and company B, come together, once the dealing is done, they can do business under company A itself or company B itself, or they can also come up with a company called as AB company. In acquisition, what happens is if company A acquires company B, later on the company would only be company A. In joint venture, what happens is that if company A and company B come together, later on it would be and it shall be company AB. There would be neither company A or neither company B. Now, the advantages of joint venture is that it always helps in providing large capital fund. Now, it also divides the risk between the partners. Now, such kind of joint ventures will always provide skill like technical skill, human skill, and also marketing skill. Now, it is one such kind which helps or makes large project possible. And there are also, it has advantages of synergy due to joint efforts of parties. Now, the disadvantages can be that conflict might arise between the partners. Now, if at all there arises any kind of dispute among the partners, the operations might become inefficient. Now, speaking about the disadvantages, now the scope or the end of a joint venture will always be more because of the reason that the entry of competitors brings about changes in the power of the partners they are having. Now, even the decision making process would be slow when it comes to joint ventures because of the involvement of more than one partner. Okay. Now moving forward, the next one is contract manufacturing. Now speaking about contract manufacturing helps the firm to develop and to control maybe the research and development, maybe the sales and servicing of its products or services on international markets, and also the handling of responsibilities for production to a local firm. Now, in this, the firms will have a chance to have foreign sourcing without making the financial commitment. Now, contract manufacturing, in other words, is nothing but is the outsourcing of a part of the manufacturing process of one of its or some part of its product to a third party. Now, being more specific, contract manufacturing is nothing but an outsourcing of certain production activities that were previously performed by the manufacturer to a third party. Now, a company which goes for this contract manufacturing may outsource the manufacture of certain components for the product or might outsource the assembly of the product itself. Nowadays, these outsourcing companies have also become specialists in a multitude of services for manufacturing, including design, production, assembly, and distribution. Now, speaking about the advantages of contract manufacturing, it always helps in transfer of production know-how. Now, there is no local investment and thus the risk would be minimal. The company which goes in for contract manufacturing will always get a control over research and developing, maybe manufacturing, marketing, or sales and services also. Now, contract manufacturing is one such which helps avoid what we call as transferring price and the problems involved in transfer pricing. And with such contract manufacturing, the company can also avoid financial problem and have and can get the advantages of locally made image of the company with which it has come to a contract. Now the difficulty with this is definitely there would be share of transfer of know-how, but the transfer of production know-how is very difficult. Now it is also difficult in the terms that it is hard to find a reliable manufacturer. Now in such kind of contract, extensive training for the local manufacturer is very much required. Now there are chances that in such contracts those who are in subcontract may become competitors. Now not only regarding the competition, even the control over manufacturing quality becomes very difficult. Now, speaking about the next one, it is termed as greenfield strategy. Now, greenfield strategy is such a kind of business operation wherein I, as an organization, when I enter the foreign market, I would be starting from ground zero. To tell that I am starting from ground zero, I will have to work in the foreign country from the beginning. That is, right from purchasing of land until the production, promotion, and distribution of my product or service, I will have to start my business from the scratch in the foreign market. Now, the main advantage is there is no risk of losing the technological knowledge to my competitor, and the control over the operation would be full. And also, for the host country, it helps in creating new jobs in their country. The disadvantages being mainly that it is a very lengthy process as the company has to begin from the scratch, and because it has lot of process, it definitely includes too much of time, as it also includes research that has to be conducted before starting the business. And also it sometimes results in extra cost and time because of unstable emerging markets. Now, one among the strategic alliances, management control. Now, in under management control, what happens is a company which would be having a poor management would be acting as a client towards a contractor. Now, in a management contract, one firm which has very good technological or technical based management, it would be providing technical advice and also management advice, or for that matter maybe even specialized services to another firm. But this particular contract would be fixed for a period and also for a payment of fee. Now, this would be something similar to that of turnkey project. But under turnkey project, what happens is that the management control and management process would not be exchanged, but under management contract, the process, the product, and even the management process would be controlled by the contractor for a certain period of time, and for which it charges fees. Now, the advantages for the contractor is that in this only a minimum financial exposure is required. Now, and also the focus would be on the firm's resources on the contract area. And the disadvantage of this is there are chances that sometime this transfer of techniques and property knowledge might happen for the contractee. Now, there are also chances that there might be possible limitation by contract expertise. Now, moving forward, now there are some of the choices which affect this entry strategy. Okay, but before that, as a manager, we should answer the question which mode of entry should be used in which situation. Now, for those companies which want to go in for only export mode, the firm has, and with the intention of no foreign manufacture expertise and requires investment only in distribution, can go in for the simple export mode. And the firms would be choosing licensing strategic alliances when it needs to facilitate the product improvement necessary to a foreign market. Now, a company would go in for joint venture when that particular company needs to connect with, you know, might be an experienced partner who is already in the target market and thereby reduce the risk of entering into new market. And a company would be choosing for a greenfield strategy when the firm knows that its intellectual property rights in an emerging country cannot be well protected, and also it knows that the number of the firm in the industry is growing fast and the need for the global integration is high. Now, speaking about the choice of entry strategy, we should always keep it in mind that there are no right decisions with foreign market entry. Now, different decisions are associated with definitely different level of risk and its own rewards. Now, businesses in developing countries can always learn from the experiences of the organization in the developed countries. So, some of the aspects which affect the choice of entry is: first is type of system. Now, there are various difficulties when it comes to doing business either in developing or in transition economies, mainly because of the gaps in the knowledge of the Western system regarding business plan, maybe it's marketing, profits of business, maybe non-convertibility of the currencies, widely variable rates of return, or also in the, there are differences in accounting system also. So it acts as one of the factors which you might to have to think when you go for international business. Now the next one is balance of payments. Now there are, the valuation of country's currency affects the country's balance of payment and also affects the business transactions that would be made between the countries. Now, the next one is cultural environment. Now, the impact of culture on entrepreneurs and strategists is very much important. Now, a significant cultural concern would always be corruption and finding a translator. The next one is technological environment. Now, new products in a country are produced based on the condition and also the infrastructure of that country. And that's why technology varies considerably in different countries. One more aspect is political and legal environment. Now, different political and legal environments create different business problems. Now, each and every element of the international business strategy can be affected by different legal environment. Laws governing business arrangements are always difficult in and also different in different countries. Above that, even the legal system in terms of nations would be different. The next one is economics. Now, every business strategy is planned under only one economic system which might have similar currency. Now, creating a business strategy for multiple countries means always you'll have to handle different levels of economic development and also different distribution system, which will always be very tough. Then next one is some of the strategic issues. Now, strategic issues act as a very important aspect when it comes to international entrepreneurship or international business. The things that can be considered under this is how would be the sharing of duty between the foreign and home operation? What should be the type of planning, reporting, and control system that can be used? How will be the suitable organization structure for doing this international business? And also, we'll have to question to which level does the standardization possible? Now, as a manager of the country, when a company goes in for international business, a manager has to decide some of the or has to take some of the decision regarding how should be the entry, or they should decide on the correct entry mode for particular product or for a country. Now this decision can be said as made on three different rules. The first one is the naive rule. Under this, what happens is the managers will always use the same entry mode for exporting to all their aimed countries. Now, this is regarded as by far the most riskiest option, since there are chances that managers can end up using an inappropriate entry mode for a particular foreign country and thereby resulting in not having the opportunities grabbed that are being given by foreign markets. The next one is the pragmatic rule. Now, under such, what happens is that the managers will always start by assessing export entry and change their entry strategy. Now, this will always result in saving of time and effort, but there is always a risk that finally the manager may fail to bring an appropriate mode to enter. Now, the last one is the strategy rule. Under such rule, the managers use right entry mode as a key to the success of their foreign entry strategy by doing systematic comparison of every entry modes. Now, the strategy rule is the most complicated method, but it will always result in better entry decision. Now, for the discussion of today, let us stop it for here, and in our next session we shall try to understand the business decisions that are to be made when a firm goes in for international business. I have taken down your attendance so you can leave the meeting for the day.